It's time for another episode of Leadership of the Leaf, now in their third season. More leadership topics to discuss and more cigar knowledge to share with great pairings. Grab a cigar, give it a cut and light, and put some smoke in the air with your host, Dice and Austin.
And welcome back to another episode of Leadership of the Leaf. My name is Austin.
And I'm Dice.
And Dice, what are you smoking on tonight?
Of course you're going to ask me that, right? Of course.
Yeah, why? Why wouldn't I, right? It's only Leadership of the Leaf. We've been doing this for a couple seasons.
Because it's a name that I'm going to pronounce incorrectly. It's about crown heads.
Oh, I can't wait.
Crown heads. La Imperiosa.
Osa.
Imperiosa.
It's not Leviosa. It's Leviosa.
La Imperiosa.
There. Well,
Imperiosa.
I'm gonna give it to you because you suck at
Hey.
pronouncing names. All right.
La Imperiosa.
There you go. All right. What is there anything special about the Hennessy that you're pairing this with tonight?
Are you trying to be funny? Are you talking shit about me drinking Hennessy?
Is it very special Old Pale?
I'm going to explain something to you, sir.
Very special Old Pale.
I don't just drink Hennessy all the time. Okay? All right, let's get that through your head.
Hang on. I would like all of our listeners to go back to the season 2 finale where we broke down how many times Dice drank Hennessy and how many times Dice drank other things. And under the other things, there's a number. It's 2. Two other times he drank something other than Hennessy.
Well,
point that out.
I'll be happy to let everyone know, including you and our listeners, I am drinking a hot toddy made with Jack Daniels.
Ooh, a hot toddy. We getting spicy up in here?
A hot toddy is a little chilly. So hot toddy, warm up the bones.
Well, it's like fucking
I got some
dead
Jack
of
Daniels.
winter. It's dead of winter right now. Like, what the fuck do you expect? All right.
For those that don't believe, I will be posting the picture. The picture is on Instagram. It's there with all the accoutrements to make a hot toddy.
Oh, I'm just color me. That's one of Dice's 2 for the year, I guess, people. I don't know.
I guess so. So now you're drinking Hennessy and what?
Oh, I don't drink Hennessy.
I believe the kids nowadays would be like, that's cap.
The fuck did you just say?
You over here capping.
Did you have a stroke?
I have seen and witnessed you drink Hennessy.
Okay. You know what? Fair. At your house, motherfucker. When you were pouring the drinks.
That's because that's the only thing that was the drink in the house.
No, yeah. Let's get the context correct there, buddy. I will drink Hennessy because Austin does not discriminate. If he gets free alcohol, he doesn't really discriminate what kind of alcohol it is. It's free.
Yeah.
I will make something with it.
What are you smoking, my good sir?
I am smoking a Southern Draw Jacob's Ladder.
Is there any special reason?
Oh, some guy just handed it to me, and I felt like I should smoke. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So I felt. Well, before I get into the reason, let me share what I'm pairing it with.
Okay.
And then we'll get into the reason because it has to do with the show. So I don't want to skip too far ahead.
All right.
Is that fair?
That's very fair.
All right. I'm pairing this lovely cigar that has actually been aged for a while.
Okay.
I'm pairing it with a nice red breast. A red breast 12 year.
Oh. All right. Yeah. You know what? I'm not mad at that. That's a great drink.
Yeah. It's a good pairing so far. So the reason I dug this out of the humidor is I decided that it might be time to revisit episode 1.
The episode 1?
The episode, the thing that started it all.
5 do's and 5 don'ts.
Yeah, a cigar person should or should not do. And on that first episode, guess what cigar is smoking?
Man, I mean, you're building this up, so it has to be. It's got to be Jacob's Ladder.
It is. It was a Jacob's Ladder.
Oh man! Hey,
poetic justice has been rendered. It came full circle. Everyone can be happy now.
Man, that's nice. Wish I thought of that. Nope. That's all you, sir.
Well,
not bad.
Somebody here is artistic and likes poetry and things. It's not Dice.
That's not drinking Hennessy, so I'm not myself today. That's what it was. That's exactly what it is. I'm not myself today.
All right. So let's get into the 5 do's and 5 don'ts that a cigar person should do. If you guys are longtime listeners, or if you're just joining us, these are always good to revisit. But first, before we really get into this, there's a little bit of something we need to go over.
Well, before we go. I don't. This show is off the rails, man. I forgot to mention about my cigar. You reminded me earlier. My cigar was given to me by someone that we started talking up, brother of the leaf, and we just started chit chatting. And he was like, "Dice, I want you to try this cigar." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, I got it. I want you to try it. I want you to tell me what you think." I was like, "I'm gonna do you one further, and I'm gonna smoke it on air. I'll let everyone know what I think." And shout out to my boy Q, who hooked me up with this cigar. And Q, this shout out is for you, and I will let you know all about this cigar next time I see you, and let our listeners know right now.
All right. Hey, I'm about it.
All right. Now we're back on the rails. Back to you.
Are we back on the rails now?
Back to you, sir.
Some would say that we've gotten better at this whole podcasting thing, and others would disagree.
I think I just made that into a reality, sir.
I'm glad you're here, Dice. I'm glad you're with us today.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. So first thing you got to know about cigars is these are premium handmade cigars, right? 300 hands touch these, whether it's the cultivation of the tobacco, the aging, the drying, the rolling, not to mention the sorting, everything that goes through and into making a cigar. Roughly 300 hands goes into that process. So these are not just machine rolled Swisher Sweets that be pumped out, forever. Like, they get pumped out because these people are great at what they do, but they aren't pumped out by a machine. They're not cigarettes, right? So when we talk about some of this stuff, some of it has to do with respect for the cigar and respect for the craft and the people who put their work and their heart and their soul and sweat into these, into their passion, into their job.
Yeah, a lot of the cigar folks that make these cigars, and they're the owners and all that, a lot of them often refer to them as their baby. I believe we had Wanda Hernandez. She said it's her baby.
Yep. Drunk
Chicken Cigars. She said it was her baby. I mean, so many people have like, I watched this thing grow, and it's my baby. So 300 hands. Mad respect to the people that makes these things. Another thing that we want to mention is flavors. Flavors of cigars comes in. We normally call them in thirds: the first, second, and final third. Flavors are also subjective.
Very subjective.
What Austin may get chocolate and figs, I may get caramel and raisins. I mean, it's subjective. So I don't want anyone to take any cigar flavoring profiles as gospel.
Yeah. And we've proven this on air before. We've smoked the same cigar hand in hand at the same time on the same air, and I've said something and you go, really? I'm not getting that. I'm getting a more floral note. It also has to do with your pairings. Correct. So be aware of that. But when you're smoking a cigar, if you don't like that first one, our advice to anybody when you're trying a new cigar is to always buy 2 of them. The reason is these are, like I said, they're handmade products. They can have issues. Now, 9 times out of 10, probably 99 times out of 100 in all reality, they're not going to ever have issues, and as long as you take care of it the way you should. But there's potential for human error, right? So buy 2 of them. If you can get them from different boxes, get them from different boxes. The reason is because once if you smoke one, you might have an issue with it. A burn line's off, draw was tight, draw was too loose, something like that. That shouldn't turn you off from that cigar. You should try your second cigar. If the same thing happens, or the flavors you just aren't really there, maybe you just don't like that cigar. That's okay. All you did was smoke 2 cigars, had a great 2 meditation sessions, and came out the other side a little bit happier person. So just that's our suggestion for trying new cigars, because you should try new cigars.
Yeah, 100%. Another thing, the last thing we want to kind of mention or go over is cigar airflow. As you mentioned, sometimes they're handmade. Their human error could come into play. You might want to, have a cigar poker or something of some sort to kind of like poke through the end of the cigar to try to open up some of that airflow. Sometimes if your cigar is getting bitter, you can actually blow through the chamber to try to clean out some of that stale air. But cigar airflow is key to enjoying a nice cigar. You want to control your breathing and how often you actually puff on it to get that burn line, just to have that even flow.
Yeah, and that's part of the meditation practice that comes with smoking cigars. But all right, without further ado, I say let's jump into the first do. What do you think, Dice?
All right.
You want to start with a positive? Positive first?
Positive.
Yeah. I'm in a positive mood, right? Sure. All right, so first thing you want to do is look over your cigars to inspect them for cracks, bug holes, or mold. Mold in a cigar, brick and mortar should not have a cigar long enough for plume in all reality. I know I've mentioned on air before that I went to a brick and mortar. I was shopping around looking at different sticks, and I noticed some that had some plume on them. And when I asked the people, I was like, hey, do you seriously have cigars long enough to have plume in them or on them? And he was like, oh, we're proud of our plume here. And I was like, really? You're a cigar store. That means that product is not turning over, which means that that's either a bad product or you're a terrible salesperson. Happy to report that brick and mortar is shut down and is no longer in business. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense. A brick and mortar should not have a cigar long enough for plume. Now, if you have a cigar in your humidor and it develops plume on it because you've been aging it carefully and everything else, fine. Have at it. Great for you. You should not find one of those at a brick and mortar. You got to look for cracks because, there's a potential for some asshole to have picked it up and been sitting there talking with somebody and dropped a cigar and been like, oh, I don't want that, it could have cracked, and put it back and then grabbed a different one. So you ought to make sure anytime you're going to pick up a cigar, you go just give it a quick look over, make sure there's no green mold, white mold, no nothing, make sure it's all not cracked, and make sure you do that even in your humidor, like the mold that I had recently where I had to throw out 8 cigars.
Oh, that sucks. Sorry to hear that.
It was terrible.
I was at a store. It wasn't an actual brick and mortar. It was a store, and they had some cigars. And I was like, yeah, that's a pretty good price for that cigar. So I reached in to, of course, pick one out and buy it. And, of course, what did I do? Yes, sir. I dropped it. I absolutely did.
Did you buy it?
Then the cashier looked at me and was like, oh, now you have to buy it. I was like, I most certainly am going to buy it, and I'm going to get another one too. And just in case that one was cracked. So, yes, I purchased a cigar I dropped.
Hey, that's
100% did the right thing.
Good on you. I'm proud of you, Dice.
Thank you.
Yeah. What a nice guy.
So I brought in some negativity. Let's do a don't.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. For some people, they might not know. They could be new to the game. If you're at a cigar lounge, don't put your cigar out like a cigarette. You know how you just kind of dab it down and mash the head in?
Yeah.
There's a reason. And the reason is the smell will linger. It will burn and continue to burn and fill the air full of that nasty, just
stale ass
burning
smoke.
Yeah, it is. It can be very unpleasant to others, especially others that are close to it. And I mean, if the lounge staff is doing what they're supposed to do, they'll take care of it. The best advice I can give you is that once you're at an area that you want to stop smoking, like, all right, I'm done with this, just sit it down.
Yeah,
just let it go. Just let it go out on its own.
Set it in the cigar in the ashtray and walk away. The lounge staff will come by. They'll pick up the whole ashtray. They'll dump it in their little bucket, and they'll set the ashtray down. And it'll be all good to go. But if you dab it, all your stale ass smoke is up in that little head area where you've been putting your mouth on, and it's sitting there, and that's all stale smoke from your whole cigar. So that's nasty smelling stuff. Right? 1, 2, you get this big old cloud of ash and black stuff that like just comes out of nowhere when you put a cigar out like that, and it just makes it terrible. Oh, it's nasty.
If you're at home and that's what you want to do, by all means, do it. My advice, if you do it in a cigar lounge, depending on the cigar lounge, you might not be asked to come back.
Yeah.
I have not seen that before, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, like especially like one of these like private ones or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
social clubs.
Ooh. Well, and even if the people, the proprietors of the establishment don't ask you to not come back, you may not feel as welcome as you once did by the other patrons.
Yeah, I can see some old heads talking shit.
Yeah, like you walk in, you're like, oh, here's a guy. He puts it out like a cigarette. Watch this guy, everybody. Don't let him do your stuff. We'll just dab it out.
Take his ashtray.
Yeah, take his ashtray. Somebody does teach you some manners. Anyways.
You want to do another don't? Or you want to do a do? Do.
Let's do a do. Do better than me and properly humidify your cigars. You got to find the...
You're getting there. You're getting there.
Stop. For those that... I'm gonna take this off the rails again. For those that don't know, I'm having a humidification issue in my humidor. If you guys have any ideas, I'm all ears. Please comment at Leadership with a Leaf. Let me know if there's something I need to do. But here's my issue, right? I have it's a 2-tier. Basically, it's like a winador converted into a humidor. There's a plastic shelf in the middle with the seal, so it's relegated to a top humidor and a bottom humidor. They both have their own separate airflows. So I humidified them with 69% Bovita packs, right? In both. Here's my problem. The top humidor sitting at a nice premium, like 68%, which is great, right? We're about right where I want it. I'd take a little bit less, but it's fine. The bottom humidor sitting at like 75%. And I cannot for the life of me figure out why. Now it's cooled, so I have it set at the top humidor set at like 55 degrees, and the bottom humidor I tried warming that one up to see if that would push some of the more humid air up to like mix and stuff. It has not worked. The bottom humidor is sitting at like 60 degrees or 65 degrees.
Conundrum, sir.
Conundrum. Anyways, there's an old rule of thumb. It's called the 70-70 rule, where you want 70% humidity, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. We've talked about this before. 70 is too high for a lot of cigars. You really want it somewhere between 65 and 70. Probably closer to the 65 mark in all reality. And the 70 degrees, that's about as warm as you want it, because if you let it get more humid and more warm, you can start allowing some potential latent cigar beetle larvae to hatch.
Yeah. Especially if you buy like some of the boutique brands or whatever that don't go through the whole chilling process where they put all the cigars in this big ass freezer for a little bit of time to make sure all larva is dead. A lot of boutique cigar companies don't have all the money and the manpower to do as such. So Boutique is probably more of the prone to beetle larva.
Yeah.
They do put the cigars in the freezer, but not a fridge. You do not want to store your cigars in a fridge.
Well,
the humidity is way too low.
Yeah, I was gonna say the problem is if you store them in your regular refrigerator, like your kitchen refrigerator, your humidity is way too low, so you're gonna crack, dry. It's gonna sound like Rice Krispies when you're picking that cigar up trying to light it. It's gonna snap, crackle, and pop.
It's mainly going to do that when you pull it out of the fridge. After you pull it out of the fridge and it's trying to acclimate to the outside of the fridge temperature, and then of course now you're setting a fire to the end. Yeah, that's when you're going to start getting the cracking and the splitting. And, what the fuck is wrong with this cigar? You are wrong with that cigar, sir.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know I said I keep my cigars kind of chilled, but I have Bovita packs in there to keep the humidity higher. So while they might be chilled, there's a lot more humidity in there versus your refrigerator, like your just kitchen refrigerator. So our go-to thing for humidity is Bovita packs. They have two-way humidification. We've talked about them on air before. They're great. They're kind of a set and forget type thing. It's not completely forget. Don't just set it in there and walk away. Like, you still have to allow regular airflow. You need to open up your humidor probably at least once a week. You need to maintain
get some fresh air.
Get some fresh air. You got to make sure that you're keeping an eye on your hygrometer, not agrometer. Hygrometer tells you what the humidity is in your humidor. You got to keep an eye on that stuff. Make sure it's not getting too high or too low.
Switch out your analog hygrometer to a digital hygrometer.
Let's just put it this way. Don't ever use the analog hygrometer that comes mounted into your wooden humidor. Those things are shit.
Correct.
Just saying.
Correct.
You can buy a nice digital hygrometer that Bluetooths to your phone off of Amazon.
Badass. Bovita Butler.
Yeah. Or I think I have like a Govee thing.
I
bought it. It was like
good too.
It was like a 2-pack for like $20.
Govee's good.
Anyways, you in your first serve yet?
Oh, definitely there, sir. Definitely there. And this is actually a little different than what I normally smoke. So shout out to Q again. I'm getting red pepper. I haven't got red pepper in a cigar for quite some time. Yeah, it's red pepper with, what's that little spice stuff that they put on fruits and stuff? The Mexican people that put on fruits. I don't know what it's called.
Tajin?
Either way, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like that because it's red peppery, but it's got a kind of fruity. Fruity
okay.
taste.
Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell this cigar's been aged. The flavors are very muted.
That's cool.
As to what I'm used to out of this cigar. Getting some hay, a little bit of chocolate. But like I said, this cigar is. I'd almost say it's just too long. It's almost too muted to allow me to really get some good flavors out of it.
Is that left over from your pack of season 1?
Maybe. It might be. I think it is.
Well, hey, I mean, we are on season 3. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but we're on our 3rd season.
Yeah. I think it is. I think that was my last one from season 1. Well, there you go, folks. This has been aging for like 2 years. A little bit too muted. You spoke it earlier, but it's still good. It's still very good. Still get some flavor out of it, just not as much as I'm used to. All right.
Where we at? We on a don't?
We're on a don't.
All right. So don't, for you cigar guys out there, don't take your own cigars to a lounge.
Can we put an asterisk by this one?
We can. The reason why we can is because some cigar lounges allow you to bring your own cigars. They're cool with it. And sometimes they have a cutting fee. Cutting fee can range anywhere from $5 to $25. I don't know. I've never had a cutting fee because I normally always buy a cigar from that lounge.
Yeah. So the reason we say don't do this is because, one, you're going into somebody else's basically house, right? Like their place of business to smoke cigars. It's only fair and proper that you go buy a cigar that they are selling. Now, I have done this where I've taken I'm going to smoke 3 cigars. I know that they don't have these 2 cigars that I really want to smoke today, but I do know they have one of the cigars that I like. So I will buy 1 cigar from them and bring 2 others and not feel bad because I have given them some business.
Right. I mean, they have to keep their lights on. They have to pay for the cable package that you're watching. You know, overhead. Places have overhead.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, if you want to, leave them, you know, buy some. And if you really had one that you really want to smoke, buy some there for later. Go to your car, swap them out, and, you know, nobody's going to take the bands off if you really feel, you know, people are super strict about it. Nobody's going to tell the difference. Unless you bought, like, I don't know, a Lancero, Connecticut Lancero, and you bring in, like, a Maduro Toro, Churchill, and you're like, this is the same cigar I just bought. And like, what?
Did that Lancero just get fat?
And dark. All right. So do step outside of your comfort zone. So people know, if you don't know, I started smoking Gurkhas when I first started. For those of you who've never smoked a Gurkha, they are very peppery. They're what can be considered a pepper bomb in some instances. And I thought that's what it was, all cigars were like. I'm like, I'm a man. I'm smoking cigars. Yeah. Fuck, this tastes like shit, but I'm a man. Had no idea, right? I was new. I was young. I had no idea what I was doing. So that's where I got my start. So then, you know, fast forward a little bit, I started doing more research, started figuring out more things about, you know, I got online, I started reading cigar journals, started, you know, watching, you know, vlogs and reading blogs and all that sort of stuff, to find out, hey, maybe I'd like something else. So then I went from Gurkha and I started out, I was like, you know what? I was like, man, these are too strong. Let me go. When I just went and got a Camacho Connecticut. And man, I paired that with a nice like caramel macchiato, and I was like, this is the shit. This is what I've been missing? Are you serious? I was like, I've been smoking this bullshit ass Gurkha for how long, and I've been fucking missing out on these? So then I started going, well, what else is good? And I started stepping outside my comfort zone, started buying 2. Oh, let me try this brand. Let me try this brand. Me and you talked. You know, you turned me on to Leaf by Oscar. You said, hey, try these. I was like, all right, yeah, sure. You know, boom. I started talking to other people who like other things, and, you know, started stepping out of my comfort zone. And now I've amassed quite a large cigar breadth of knowledge and taste profile that I could go from, you know, something as strong as like Sin Compromiso and enjoy the crap out of it. And I can also, I know what to look for and enjoy something as light as like Alec Bradley Magic Toast.
Yeah.
You know, it's light and creamy and cinnamony and, you know, all these other things. So that's 2 opposite ends of the spectrum, but I wouldn't have ever gotten there if I hadn't stepped out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. One thing I've been doing for a very long time is a cigar journal. You kind of keep track of cigars you like, cigars you don't like. Cigars that you enjoy, and you cut a certain way, like maybe this one tastes better with a punch and that one tastes better with a V-cut, deep V-cut or whatever. And how I keep my journal is I got cigar bands. I take the cigar bands and I keep them, especially of ones that I like. They go in a certain cigar journal, and then the ones that are just okay, they go in a certain cigar journal, or ones that I don't care too much for, they go in the back of like the cigar journal. So I can be like, every now and again, I can take a trip through like a photo album, trip through memory lane and be like, oh yeah, I remember that one. I haven't had that one in a while and I really liked it. Oh, and I see I used a V-cut for it or a crown cut or something of that nature. So a cigar journal can be helpful if you actually keep track of it. Even if you half-ass a cigar journal, it can be helpful in the long run.
Oh yeah. I wish I would have done a better job keeping my cigar journal. I'd be honest, I have not. I will say, beware of what I like to call box burnout. I did this really kind of early. I found a deal on some cigars, and I was like, oh, I'm going to buy this box, and it comes with extra free cigars as part of a bundle deal. I smoked that brand of cigars for the next like 8 months. And I was so tired of that brand of cigars. And I have not picked up another one of those brands yet to smoke. I'm like, nope, I don't want to smoke it. It just does not appeal to me in any way, shape, or form. So if you buy a box, great, but beware of box burnout. Buy the box. If you really like the cigar, great, buy the box. But temper it with a couple other cigars that you might like, and keep trying new ones while you're at it.
Well, another thing with the box burnout, especially starting off with cigars, a lot of times when you start off with cigars, you don't have the humidor size to accommodate a plethora of cigars, right? So if you buy a box and your humidor size is a 20 cigar humidor, and you bought a box of 20 cigars, then yeah, you're kind of going to be stuck with just that cigar. But as of now, like right now, you've grown up and you have a cooler door. Once you get it working, you have a cooler door. You can actually store that box in the cooler door, and then you can pick one up every now and again. So it plays a difference with the size of humidors that you actually have to kind of help prevent that box of burnout.
Right, and boxes are a great deal. They usually give some sort of, that's a bulk discount, right?
Yeah.
But and they're good deals. Just be cautious when you do that, because you can get to the point where you're like, I smoked so many whatever brand cigars. I never want to see another whatever brand cigar in my life. Or maybe you love that one. I've talked to a lot of old heads, and they're like, I'm like, what's your cigar? What's your brand? And they're like, I like Padron. I only smoke Padron, or I smoke Liga Privada number 7. That's all I smoke, or whatever. And I'm like, that's it? That's all you've ever smoked? They're like, yeah. Why? I'm just curious. You're missing out on a great bunch of other number of cigars.
There's nothing better, sir.
There's nothing better.
What do you know with your hippity dippity? All right. Oh, this one. Oh, one of my favorite don'ts. Don't put a cigar in your mouth and then use the community cutter.
You fucking dickhead.
This is especially prevalent. I mean, it was good before, but I mean, now you got like COVID. Everybody's like scared of COVID, even though it's trying to make a comeback, I guess. I don't know. But I mean, I don't know where your mouth been. I don't know what kind of slobbery germs you got. And then, once you cut it, now you cut it with every slobbery person that put their mouth on a cigar beforehand. I try my best to always remember to take my cutter. I now have a punch on my keychain because I don't want to use community cutters ever again.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. 100% agree. The only place that I'm like willing to use a community cutter in a certain sense is if I go to a cigar lounge and they cut it for you.
Yeah.
And light it for you, because they don't allow you to put it in your mouth before they cut it.
Correct.
They take it from, oh, hey, I'd like to buy this cigar. They take it out of your hands. They go ring it up. They take it out of the package. They cut it. They're like, would you like me to cut it and light it? Sure, why not? They cut it and they're like, all right, you put it in your mouth. I'll light it for you. And then they light it up and you're like, all right, you're good to go. And you go sit down and smoke your cigar and drink your drink and you're happy. Good to go. But certain other brick and mortars, they just have like a ring of all different types of cutters. Oh, I got a guillotine, I got a straight cut or a V cut, I got a punch, and it's like, oh, there's so many options. And you see this one person that comes up and they just take their slobbery mouth and like, yeah. And they're like, Jesus, did you just hack a lung up? No, I just love this cutter. I use it every time I'm here. Try it. And I'm like, no thanks.
Nah, I'll just die.
See, I tend to carry pocket knives, and I have not been above taking my pocket knife out and going, beep, and just cutting the end off like a straight guillotine. And people are like, why are you doing that? Why don't you just use a community cutter? Fuck you, because you put your slobbery ass mouth on it.
Because you're a nasty motherfucker, that's why.
You're an asshole.
Yes, commonly referred to as an asshole. You are absolutely correct in that, sir.
Fuck. Anyways, can you tell we don't like it? Don't do it. All right. So let's go back to a do. I like do's.
Do it.
Yeah. Do socialize when visiting cigar lounges. Now, I will be 100% honest. I am not the greatest person at socializing with people I don't know. I'm an awkward person, right? You'll never guess it. But
Very fucking awkward.
Yeah. But you meet me in person, I'm happy to talk with people who initiate the conversation. You ask me to initiate the conversation, it's going to be like fucking Pee Wee Herman just, hi. Like, I'm not that great at it. So, I know I was visiting you at one point in time in Vegas, and we went to the Tobacco Leaf.
Yeah.
Right? And you started it, and thank God you started it, because you went around and like dapped everybody up to say bye, and I just follow suit, right? And you're like, hey, you're gonna walk out without saying bye to these people? And I'm like, I don't know who the fuck these guys are. And they're like, you're like, you can't make me look bad, Austin. And I was like, my bad, dude. Like, I don't know.
Oh, that was a good time, man, because we walked back in, and it was almost like everyone was like laughing and chopping it up, and then I walked in, but like, Dax, what's up, man? Blah, blah, this whole thing, and then you walked in behind me, and it was like, who's that?
Hey,
I was like, hey, man, that's my boy Austin. He's coming to visit or whatever. Kind of got a side eye. Someone cracked a joke, and then it was just on from there. We started talking football. I think football was on the TV.
Yeah.
We was just having. I think you got a job offer when we was there.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude talking to me, asking me what I did, and like, I got a job for you when you get out. When if you want everyone to change jobs or whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool. If you ever want to come out to Vegas, all right. It was great. It was a great time. Usually it took one joke, and they kind of like, I saw them all watching me when they made the joke to see if I would laugh, to see like how comfortable I was with certain, jokes. And once everyone started laughing and I started cracking jokes back, it was on. It was great.
Yeah.
So socialize. Don't sit there with your headphones and your laptop that's in the coffee bar. It's not. I'm working on a screenplay. Like,
yeah.
Like, no,
Nah.
You're there to socialize. The smoking is a social thing. You got to get out and get with people and say hi. You got to figure out what their life story is. You never know. You might go down and sit down, and a janitor could be sitting next to a lawyer, and they're sitting there bullshitting. And you would never know. One's a janitor, one's a lawyer. You'd never know in a million years.
Yeah, the tobacco. I mean, it's one of the few places where you rub elbows with all walks of life, right? I don't know if you know this or not, but at the Tobacco Leaf, when we was there, there's one guy in there. He was like a high-profile dentist.
Oh yeah,
like he doing implants and all. He was a legit like doctor, not like a bullshit dentist. He was like a legit like real dentist guy. And then of course we had the UPS worker.
Yep.
And I think one guy was a security guard, and the other one I believe was trash. And I want to say one of the guys that was kind of sitting off in the corner that was actually trying to watch TV, I think he's a lawyer. So there was all kinds of walks of life that was in there.
Yeah. And then you got us two schmucks just yucking it up in there. But we were all having a good time. Like, that group of people would meet nowhere else in their life.
There's nowhere
other than the cigar lounge.
Yeah.
So take that, use it to your benefit. You never know who you might meet, who you might become friends with.
One thing you don't want to do, especially in that kind of situation where everybody's like laughing it up or whatever, you don't want to brag about what you smoke.
Well, I slowly smoked Davidoffs.
I've only smoked Cubans.
No.
I'm very fancy.
With your
leaving the band on.
with your band out, and you're holding it barely with the band, and you're ooh.
Yeah, normally you can kind of pinpoint these people because normally they're talking louder just to draw the attention to what they're smoking. Yeah, Cuban cigars are the one for me.
What did I tell you?
Cuban.
The loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room.
Motherfucker, I told you that. Talking loud and ain't saying shit.
Yeah, all right. Love that movie. All right. Yeah. These guys just, I only smoke Cohibas. Yes. Who gives a shit? You're all there. You're all smoking. You're all having a good time. It doesn't matter what the hell anyone else is smoking. You do you. You enjoy yourself. You sit there and BS. And it's have a good time. Have a good time with it. Talk with people. You never know what kind of conversation you come up with, and you find, you learn, you do whatever, you BS, you have fun. Takes your mind off the stresses of life.
I think you should do the last don't before we go into the final do.
Ooh, the last don't. All right.
This is kind of a rookie one.
Okay. I have seen veterans do this, and it drives me nuts. And I don't know why, but it does. It's just a thing with me. Don't ask me. It's a pet peeve. So don't smoke through the cigar band unless it is made for that reason, right? Leaf by Oscar, CAO Amazon Basin, to name a few that I know of, like right off the top of my head. They're made to smoke through that band. That's okay. They're made to do that. But if you take a Southern Draw, a Rocky Patel,
almost any other
Drew
brand,
Estate,
really.
yeah, anything with like a paper band, don't smoke through the band. You just get nasty ass paper and dye and gloss and all that stuff in your flavors of your cigar, right? You're burning paper instead of getting this flavor of the actual smoke. I had a rookie talk to me, and he was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I noticed you take the bands off. Why do you take the bands off? Aren't they made to just be smoked through?" And I was like, "No, they're not. They're made to be taken off. That is why they're held on with some like plant type glue that's easily like you can flick it off with your fingernail really quick. That's what it's made for. It's made for that. Like, take the fucking band off. You're ruining your cigar."
Not only that, you're like breathing in burning paper. Like, you wouldn't go into a house fire and just breathe in like a house being on fire. I mean, that's essentially what you're doing. You're breathing in burnt paper.
Let me light a stack of printer paper on fire and over a barrel, and you just stand there and inhale it and see how it feels.
You wouldn't do that. No one would do it. Well, no one in their right mind would do that.
There you go. But so, yeah, just take the band off. Take the band off. That's it drives me nuts. Now I'm unintentionally not paying attention, right? I have smoked through the band, and every time I do, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah,
but
I've been knee deep in some Hennessy, and I've done it before.
Yeah, right. We've all done it by mistake. But I've noticed a flavor change every time I've done it.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, that's why it tastes like ass. All right, cool.
Wait, what the fuck? Oh shit. Oh my goodness. Sometimes you're in the moment, so I get it, but
or you
don't do it on purpose. Don't do it on purpose.
Like,
also, don't take the band. Don't take the band. I said knee deep. Don't take the band off too early. If you take it off too early, you can also damage the cigar. So there's a fine little art to it. You'll figure it out. It's kind of like finding the clutch in a car. You'll figure it out.
Or double Dutch. Trying to find how to get in with double Dutch. If you don't know what double Dutch is, go Google it.
You're a Gen Wire.
You're too young. You're Gen Alpha.
You shouldn't be listening to this podcast.
Exactly.
Just saying.
Exactly.
You're not of age. Oh, my God.
By the way, Dice, you knee deep in Hennessy is just a puddle.
Oh, was that a short joke?
It was.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I need that in my life.
I keep you humble and close to the ground. Well, closer to the ground.
Okay, thanks. What are we at? Tobacco leaf over here? What the fuck?
Fuck yeah, let's do it.
All right. Our final do. Do. You do want to enjoy cigars your way.
What?
Don't let someone else try to tell you how you should do whatever. I mean, if you want to smoke through the band, if that's the way you want to enjoy your cigar, you can do that. It's probably not the best idea, but enjoy the cigars your way. There's a story that I know you know about, you shared, where Arnold was smoking a cigar. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the king of cigar smoking.
Yes.
the waiter took the cigar from him
out of his mouth,
and
Full
he like
cotton.
like Arnold, hey Terminator, you're doing this fucking wrong. Then he swapped it down with tequila, right?
Yeah.
The whole cigar down with tequila.
Like rolled it in some tequila, painted it with like a cedar spill.
And now supposedly Arnold, that's the only way he smokes his cigars now.
Right, and I have heard other cigar people in the cigar industry badmouth and bash that shit. How dare he? I can't believe he would do such a thing. It adds nothing to the cigar. Blah blah blah. Fuck that. Does it really hurt the cigar? No. Does it add anything to the cigar? Who knows? There's people who dunk the end of their cigar, like where they put their mouth, in some whatever they're drinking, and put that in their mouth because they want to get the drink and the smoke at the same time. You do it however you want to do. If you want to dip the cigars, fine, fuck it. Who gives a shit? Are you hurting anybody? No.
Nope.
Are you, cigar purists, they're going to probably badmouth you and bash you. I can't believe you all blah, 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 blah. Yeah, fuck them. Who gives a shit? There's not a wrong way to enjoy them unless you're lining up the wrong end.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you put the lid in your mouth, it's probably not pleasant.
Well, or if you light the wrong end, like the end you're supposed to cut, like with the cap, and then you put the foot in your mouth, and I'd laugh at you. I'd be fucking loser. Oh wait, that's been shared on social media by a football player.
Was that college team? Was it?
That was a college
Auburn?
team.
I don't know which college.
It was either Auburn or LSU.
LSU. Either way, it doesn't matter. They were stupid.
It was funny. Anyways, that's how they like it. Great. That's how they like it.
Hey, there's really no wrong way to smoke a cigar. Maybe there's a few, but if that's the way you enjoy it, fuck it.
Yeah.
Do you?
Who's gonna say anything? Are you in your second, third? You wanna wait till after we come back, and then we'll jump into some leadership topics?
You know what? How close are you? Are you there? We can do it now. Fuck it. My red pepper has subsided. There's still a tinge of it there. The fruit has picked up, and it is going into a leathery profile.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So
with hope.
Nice. So I'm getting more flavors out of this now that I've gotten away from the foot. I get a slight cedar and hay notes. There's a creaminess to it on the back end, the very, very back end. It's very good, though.
All right. That's interesting of how long it's been resting. I like that.
Yeah, figure it out. All right. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about our leadership topic, which we didn't even discuss before we jumped into the do's and don'ts.
So, anybody that has listened to episode 1, season 1, they'll know it.
They'll know it. All right. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Leadership of the Leaf.
I'm curious to what cigars my favorite podcast will be smoking for the next episode.
Well, if you're that curious, just go to Leadership of the Leaf's Instagram page, at Leadership of the Leaf, all one word. They post pictures of which cigar they're smoking before the next episode.
That's great. Not only will I know what cigar they're smoking, I can see a picture of it to ensure I get the exact same one.
Yeah, I usually leave a comment to let them know if I agree with their thoughts about a cigar or not.
Next time, I'm going to leave a comment on their Instagram page. It'd be like I'm part of their podcast or something.
Check me out, guys, on Instagram at Flavor King with 2 G's on there. And it's been a pleasure listening to Leadership of the Leaf here with Dyson Austin.
All right, welcome back to Leadership of the Leaf. After that break, we just had a break. That's how that works, right? Now we're going to talk about some leadership.
Usually that's how the flow of this show goes. I don't know if you're new to this or not.
I am new. I mean, we're recreating episode 1, so I got to make it sound right. Yeah.
I mean, the whole first part before we even jumped into the do's and don'ts was believable. This first episode. Holy shit.
Well, our leadership portion, sir, we are going to walk the walk and talk the talk. What the fuck does that mean?
What are you talking about?
Well, this topic came up. One of the reasons why we started the whole podcast, we was talking about this. We was talking about how we have leaders, or we have supervisors or managers or whoever. We have someone above us that they don't even know their job. They don't know your job, and they try to be a leader and lead you to something that they have no clue about.
They're stupid advisors.
I like that. So basically, if you're become a leader, when you do become a leader, you want to make sure you know how to walk the walk and talk the talk. Learn your job, learn their job, learn the person above you's job, learn the person below you job. Like, learn as much as you can. If you're new to a task, but it's the same job with a different name, then you should integrate yourself to have a better understanding of what every aspect of that job entails. Don't just go out there and kick buckets over and be like, I'm the man in charge now.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to come in with like an iron fist or anything. Even if you do know the job as a leader, and let's say you do know it, and you're like, hey, I've already been down this road. You're gonna have to kind of show that you know it, because the people, if you're like a new leader, you have to show the people that you actually know what the fuck you're talking about. Just because you come in and you say, hey, this is my background, does not mean that you are actually good at whatever you say your background is. Like, if you're like, yeah, I used to produce all these widgets back in my day, and I had to work my way up, and I went away for a little bit, and I come back, and now now I'm the supervisor of the people making widgets, so I know how to make widgets. All the new people who don't know you are gonna go, do you really know how to make widgets?
I think you're full of shit.
Yeah, I think you're full of shit. Make sure that you can either show it, or if you don't know it, literally sit there and say, hey, I don't know this. Can somebody teach me and let me learn the ins and outs of the shop or the job or the process or whatever, instead of just walking in and kicking over buckets, like Dice said. You don't want to just come over and kick something over and be like, kick a trash can and be like, man, I'm the fucking boss, and this is how we're going to do it from here on out. No, figure out what the process is. See if you can identify any inefficiencies with it, instead of just changing it for changing's sake. Like, a lot of people, I see a lot of leaders, they come in and they just look at it and they go, yeah, this is inefficient, we're going to change it. I'm like, could you put a name to those inefficiencies? Could you point them out to us so maybe we can learn? What do you see that I don't see? And they're just, no, it's just inefficient, we're going to change it. This is a much better way. Okay, fine, that may be the case. But unless you can literally sit there and point to these inefficiencies, workers are not going to tend to believe you.
Yeah, I equated this to when I got switched to a new job. The job I originally had, we worked on, let's call it a capital widget. And then when I got switched to a different location for a job, there was many different facets to make that capital widget. So it was widget A, B, C, and D. That's like 5 different areas. I didn't go in knowing all. I went into section A, figured out what they did there, actually joined the club, built a few, went to section B, section C, section D. I did everything that they did so I can have a clear understanding of how to make the capital widget at the end. If I went in like I've already done this, guys, I've been doing this for over 10 years now, so listen to me, I'm pretty sure I would have not got the same response as I did as actually literally jumping in the trenches with everyone, learning what each section does before I even spoke on any kind of changes, before I spoke on any kind of process or anything. I actually learned each and every single section's process before. And I mean, it took me some time. There was some growing pains, and I actually learned a lot. And I actually gained the respect of quite a few people during that process, to where now the people will listen to me, and my leadership went that much further with the respect level that I earned.
Yeah, there's you know, there's a benefit to having a clear understanding how the widget is made instead of just sitting back and armchair quarterbacking, right?
Yeah.
If you're just sitting in your office and they tell you, hey, here, this is the process. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, great. That was a sales pitch that they just gave you to keep you out of their hair because nobody wants to change, right? We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. So if
Yeah.
you go in there and you're like, all right, that makes sense, let's keep doing it, then the workers are going to be like, yeah, that's great. But you're going to have some disgruntled people going, man, I really thought he was going to come in, change some things, make it better, blah, blah, blah. If you go out there and you walk the floor, you walk the process, and you go, all right, I want to see how it's made. I want to see how this widget's made. And like I said, I want to go see A, B, C, D, whatever. You can actually learn, like, wait, okay, it gets them from A to C, and then back to B for a little bit, and then to D, and then back to B to get finished up. What the fuck are we doing here? Why does it not just flow logically? I want to figure this out. But if they come in and just tell you about it, they're going to give you a PowerPoint presentation. Go, all right, sir. All right, so we're going to go to process A, then we'll go to process B, then we go to process C, and then we go to process D, and then it ships out to the customer. And you're like, fucking great. That makes so much sense. But in reality, it goes through this convoluted fucking path, and you're like, why? Wait, why can't we? Hold on. That's not what I was told in my office. But you got to get out from behind your desk or wherever and go look at it. Go sit. Hey, walk me through this. Pick somebody at random. It doesn't even matter. You, new guy, walk me through this process. The new guy's going to be like, oh, this is how the process is, how I understand it. They're not going to lie because they don't know well enough. I like to make the new person teach me. Teach me how this is made. But I've only been here for like a month. Great. Tell me how this is made. What is the process here?
During the process of learning that, I don't know how I can tell, like, young up-and-comers, old-school leaders, whoever, it's better to have the respect of majority of the worker bees, right? Because they're the ones that's going to look up to you from the beginning. And once you have the respect of the worker bees, then the upper management is going to see that for some reason, you're like the Pied Piper of all the worker bees. What the fuck is going on? So naturally, they're only going to have the respect for you in return because you get results. Why do you get results? Because you was in the trenches with the worker bees. The worker bees now know that you understand what they go through from day to day. They understand where the rubber meets the road, whereas the armchair quarterbacks that are sitting in their ivory towers just know what is seen on paper.
Right.
Now, it weighs a ton to know more of the process than to know the numbers on paper.
Yeah. Well, so I was reading a story, and there was an advisor. Let's say let's call him an advisor. There's an advisor brought into a company to evaluate identify the inefficiencies of the process. Right?
Yeah.
This person, there's a person who had realized that their job could be basically done by setting up a lot of programs that ran in the background, right? Email forwarding, a bunch of macros, stuff like that. So they set it all up, and this advisor basically said, hey, your job is absolutely useless. There's no reason for you to be here. And I said, look, hey, I do a lot around here. Like, I keep this thing running smooth. You don't want to fire me? And they're like, no, we're going to fire you. And so that person went in and said, all right, fine, they're firing me. They deleted all of their preset programs because that was their job, right? They had that set up. So they deleted it all, turned in all their computers and all their stuff, then left. And once they did that, the whole company went to shit. Everything fell apart. Nobody knew how to talk to anybody because everything was automated at a certain point. Like,
right.
And then they started asking the advisor, like, what happened? They're like, I don't know. It used to do this. And they're like, oh, yeah, that was that person's job that you fired to forward this or whatever, to pass this along. And they're like, well, they didn't do it. Oh, yeah, they did do it, but you fired them. Well, so they tried to split it all up and then realized that it didn't work. So they had to bring that person back. And it was a whole big kerfuffle. The advisor ended up getting fired. But, it's because the advisor was just sitting in on meetings and just kind of taking notes and all this other stuff. and not really actually learning the process of how things were made and what each individual person did. They ended up just trying to fire them, and it ended up backfiring on that advisor because they didn't take the time to actually learn everything that was supposed to be done. They didn't learn to walk the walk and talk the talk, so to speak.
Right. They was just looking at documentation and paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
Often says small things are often looked over. So if you actually get down to the nitty gritty of things, you actually can see a lot of, like your guy you was referring to, the small things that kind of add up. Now, often says you take care of the small things, the big things don't really matter because all the small things make the big things happen.
Right.
So with that guy, he was taking care of a lot of the small things.
Yeah.
And once you removed him, all the small things kind of went to the wayside, and all the big things became a problem over time. So if you're a leadership person and you're learning to walk the walk and talk the talk, pay attention to not just the big things, but the small things. Actually, I would pay more attention to the small things. Like, why did you take A to B? Why did you take A to B to C? Why not just go straight A to C? Oh, because you need B to do this. B is a small thing, so you was just trying to skip over.
Right.
So, yeah, pay attention to the small things.
Yeah. There's, reading. I don't know how many articles and books that I've read, and they're like a lot of the highly effective people and the companies that have bosses that are successful. They go, they sweat the small stuff. These highly effective CEOs or whatever C-level executive, they sweat the small stuff because they know that the small stuff is what is going to land them in jail, what is going to land their company in hot water with their investors or their board or whatever. And so they know that the small details matter. Oh, wait, you said that widget A could perform in 4 seconds. It's taking 5 seconds. Why the fuck did you tell me 4? Well, it's 4.8. No, that fucking matters. That 0.8 seconds matters. That
Correct.
is, that adds up over time, which means that we're like in the grand scheme of this whole project, that means that we're going to take however much longer because you said it was going to take 4 seconds and that's what I planned on, when in reality you meant 4.8, which is really 5 seconds. If you had told me 5 seconds, we hadn't have a problem, but you said 4 seconds. That, that adds up. So all that sort of stuff, like you said, adds up. The small things will take care of the big things, but you got to sweat the small stuff sometimes. You not micromanage.
Right.
But you got to make sure that those details are done correctly, because that is what's going to come back to bite you in the rear end if you don't take care of it the first time.
Yeah. Which, in hindsight, like, I want to go back to walking the walk and talking the talk. There's times where I was sent off to a business meeting or whatever, right? And the boss, there's like 2 or 3 bosses, and it was like, I want this whole room swept out, right? Everything clean from head to toe, this whole room. And there's like 3 or 4 worker bees, and they're doing their damage to clean this room. And all the management is sitting over there watching everyone clean this room. When I got there, I went in there and I picked up a broom and I started sweeping and everything too. And they was like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, I'm not incapable of sweeping. I mean, these guys are sweeping. Sooner we get done, the better off everybody is.
There's like 3 extra brooms in the closet.
Yeah, better off we're all going to be. And none of management followed suit. It was just me and the worker bees doing the task. And of course, how do you think all the worker bees look at me now? Right?
Yeah, they're like, he's one of us. He's good shit.
And then how you think they looked at management that just stood there sipping their coffee and just talking shit about what we were doing. So not only did I came in, I walked the walk, and now I'm able to talk the talk because I was right there with the people, and now I can talk shit pretty much to management that was there just watching. So like, oh, you could have got that done fast. I could have got it done a lot faster if you motherfuckers picked up a broom too, or whatever, right? So it goes back to that whole leadership scale of where you want to be at, walking the walk and talking the talk. You're right there with them to do the walk and talk the talk. Whereas management now doesn't really understand. They don't know what it went through to get that room clean. They don't know what it went through to make the place better. They don't know that all they saw was what was going on. They don't know the intricacies of it.
Yeah.
Intricacies.
There you go. I mean, it's definitely one of those things. I know in the past, when I worked for you, we used to have competitions.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And it wasn't because I didn't think that you could do it, but it's just one of those things. Like I wanted to test myself, but I know I talked to several people. There was people who challenged me. They saw me challenge you, and I lost because you knew how to do the job better than I did. And so they assumed, like, well, if Austin can't do as well as Dice, then obviously I could do, and I know I could do as well as Dice. Then I'm gonna beat Austin. And I was like, all right, well, step up, challenge me then, humble me, bring me down to your level. Then I'm happy.
Win, you buy me lunch. If I lose, I buy all of you lunch.
Exactly. That's all it was. A simple thing. And it was producing widgets. And I remember we were going task for task, and I was like right behind you, but you got it done better than me. You won hands down. I bought you lunch. It was fine. No big deal. When those people tried to challenge me, they're like, oh, we could beat you. If you can't even beat Dice, who doesn't do the produce widgets anymore. He doesn't turn a wrench to produce widgets or whatever. I could beat you. I'm like, all right, let's step up. I will happily buy all of you motherfuckers lunch if he beats me. Oh yeah. I mopped the floor with that dude. I was done. I had widgets, the whole widget produced in a day, and he was not even like halfway done at the end. I was like, what happened? You said you could beat me. What happened? It's you're better than I thought. Yeah, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I know how to do this. Tell you that if I can beat you by this much, and I was neck and neck with Dice, that should tell you that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Then Dice knows what the fuck he talks about. So don't come at us for not knowing what the hell we talk about, because we obviously can do what we need to do. But I've had leaders come out and they're like, well, I could do that. I'm like, all right, come on. And I mop the floor with them, or you mop the floor with, and it's like, so do I know what the fuck I'm talking about, or do you not? It definitely humbles that manager, because if you have no idea what the fuck the process is, you're going to be lost in a heartbeat.
Well, what happens in no type scenarios, because I love doing that. I often went on the work floor and mess with people like that, and well, I could do that better. Oh, sure, what the fuck ever. And then, proof's in the pudding, right? It's one of them where you don't want to forget where you came from.
Yeah.
You don't want to forget day one, when I first entered a job, like, hey, go wash dishes. Okay. Now, 10 years later, I'm not a dishwasher anymore, but I bet you I can wash dishes better than you, motherfucker.
Yeah. I bet you I can get the whole dishes done before you can.
I've never seen you wash a dish a day in my life. Whatever. Okay, let's do this.
Yeah. We got 2 dishwashers. We got equal pile of dishes. 1, 2, 3, go, motherfucker.
By the time I'm done, I'm helping you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll help you out. Don't worry. I'll bring your dishes over to me because I'm bored. Yeah,
I'm done. I'm waiting.
There's a huge thing, and I've seen this in every industry that I've ever been in. It's a tendency to either forget where you came from, or you got hired into a management position, so you have no idea what the workers go through. So because you didn't have to work your way up, right? So if you're a manager that had to work your way up, don't forget about the people that replaced you. Don't forget what they have to go through. Don't forget and sit there and be like, well, I know when I did this, I never complained because of X, Y, and Z. No, that's fuck that. We're not here to do that. We're here to sit there and try to make their lives better. If that means investing in new technology or training them better, then that is what needs to happen.
When you said someone is like appointed to a certain position or whatever, it makes me think of I don't know if I shared this story or not. It's called chauffeur knowledge. Have you ever heard of chauffeur knowledge?
No.
I would gladly share. I'll try to do it pretty briefly here, but it's a pretty simple story. So there's a professor, world-renowned professor of whatever industry, let's say whatever, right? World-renowned. And he has a chauffeur driver that drives him to all his projects that he has to speak on and speeches and this whole thing. And then one time the professor was like, you know what? I've been giving these speeches for so long, I'm kind of burnt out a little bit. And the chauffeur was like, hey, boss, I've been to every single one of your shows. I know exactly how to do this. Let me give the speech this time, and you can relax. And the professor was like, that's a brilliant idea. So the chauffeur goes up, like he's the professor. He's not, he's the chauffeur. And he gives the speech flawlessly. Like, Then someone from the crowd was like, well, sir, what about this? Did you ever think of this? And the chauffeur was like, I can't believe you would ask such a simple question. It's so easy. My chauffeur can answer it. And now the professor's pretending to be the chauffeur, right? So the professor, being the chauffeur, answers the question. And then none the wiser, everyone still thinks the chauffeur is the professor. So sometimes when people are appointed to certain positions, all they have is chauffeur knowledge. They heard Austin talk about it. They heard Dice talk about it. They heard people talk about it till the cows come home. And now they use that chauffeur knowledge to get appointed to certain positions. But when it comes down to the brass tacks, they don't know the answers.
Right.
Chauffeur knowledge.
Interesting. Yeah, it reminds me. I recently stepped into a new position, taking care of certain things, and I was asking the people around me. I was like, who? I know the person who did this before me. How do you felt that they did in this job? And they go, oh, they were a good guy, but they were very reactive to things. But he talked a big game, and I was like, okay, but he's very reactive. So I was like, so that means he wasn't proactive. And I was like, so how do you feel as though I'm doing? They're like, you are miles ahead because you're very proactive. And I don't, and they've asked me, they're like, I don't know what the difference is between you and him, but it makes a world of difference between proactive and reactive. And I said, I could tell you what the difference is because I believe that I know. And I was like, I said, by all means, I don't know that person's history, but tell me if I'm wrong because you know their history. I said, have they ever worked this job? No. Have they ever worked this job? No. Have they ever worked this job? No. Okay. I've worked all those jobs, so I know exactly what the people in these sections need, which means that I know what problems are going to come up before they show up, so I get ahead of them because I know that they're going to be a problem down the road. All right, that makes so much more sense. It's the difference between me being working my way up to that level versus that person just who was before me just being appointed to that level.
Makes a world of difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to walk behind the counter of Starbucks and start making lattes.
No.
I drink the shit out of them. I know the concept. I know how it's made.
Yeah, I've seen it being made a bunch of times.
Yeah, and they're delicious. And I'm not going to put on a green apron and like, hey, all right, I'm starting today, guys.
Right. Yeah, I know how these are made. I got it.
I watched it on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, and even like so, bringing up YouTube, right? And VR is now a thing. There's training via VR. And I am a proponent of that. But I look at it as more of an augmentation of knowledge, not a replacement of knowledge and training. Hey, this is a great thing to see the concept of how to do this. Doing it in VR is one thing. Everything is programmed to work perfectly. You're not actually there physically producing the widget, but you get the concept of how it's produced. Now I take that same person who's only had VR knowledge and I say, all right, go out there and do it. They're going to go, all right, well, in the VR, I'm supposed to do this and it pops right off. It's not popping off. What do I do? I don't know. You tell me, homie. You're the one who said you did the training. Let's go. Well, I don't know.
Like doing a VR oil change, right? There's a difference between pulling it on VR and the oil coming out as they're doing it in real life, and you pull the plug and oil is coming out. You're like, I got oil everywhere.
But why is it hot?
Yeah, it doesn't happen on VR. It did. It's just you didn't have the touchy and feely.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you on that, sir.
Yeah.
There's something else I want to know. you agree with me on.
Oh, what's your final third though?
Oh, you motherfucker.
Yes.
The red pepper is sliding back in, and it's 100% mixing with the leather. And the fruit is very subtle in there because I can get some kind of sweet. Maybe it's the sweetness of the tobacco. But either way, the red is coming back with the leather, and it's actually a pretty amazing mixture.
Interesting.
Blend. Let's go blend. Let's get blend.
I like blend. This one, the cedar has left the building. It is now a chocolatey hay barnyard type blend, and it's very good. It's definitely, like I said, it's more muted because I'm not getting as much pepper on the back end as I normally would. So I'm getting more of that chocolatey barnyard type flavor, and it's really, really good. It's mellowed it out quite a bit. That's aging for a couple years. So it definitely has, I would say, like I said, mellowed out, but kind of enhanced certain flavors. Let me ask you this question then, Dice. Is that cigar single, 5-pack, or box worthy?
It's time to answer the question. Is the cigar box worthy, 5-pack, or just 1 or 2?
All right. Well, this cigar was given to me by, shout out to my boy Q.
Whoop.
Shout out again. All right. Appreciate you. You should be listening. Right now, I will say this cigar is 100% for me, 5-pack. 5-pack worthy.
So not box worthy.
Just 5-pack because it has red pepper. I'm not a huge pepper, and definitely not a huge red pepper fan, but it's nice that it's red pepper. And if I had like a 5-pack in my humidor, I can, you know what, today I feel a little different. Let's go with some red pepper. Now I know I can pick this one up and it'll fulfill that need. I don't think it's 1 or 2 because I actually enjoyed it. It was actually a really good cigar. Box worthy, I don't think it's quite there for me, box worthy. I don't see me like enjoying like, oh, I can't wait to get it. I can't wait till I get another one of those red pepper cigars. I'm not there with this one, but it definitely is great to have in a humidor 5-pack.
So do you think it would have been different if you would have paired it with like Hennessy? The reason I ask, and I know you drink Hennessy mostly, but the reason I ask is Hennessy is a more floral type drink, right? So do you think that would have brought out more of the fruit notes and maybe muted that red pepper a little bit?
You may be onto something there, especially if I was to get a lighter, more like maybe a VS or even a Hennessy White with it. It probably will pull out more of the fruity notes, but the red pepper was pretty strong.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question though. So now I have to find this cigar and try it with Hennessy.
Well, damn the luck, I guess.
If I have to.
Oh man. All right. This cigar for me, Southern Draw Jacob's Ladder. By far, we've smoked this together before. We have both enjoyed the crap out of this cigar. Honestly, I would say probably a box for this one. For me, it's a solid chocolatey. It has a little bit of pepper on the back end type note, like black pepper. It's got a chocolatey barnyard. It's got a little bit of cedar. It's very complex. It definitely tastes, aging for a couple years, and the flavors are still there. For the most part, it's very impressive to me. But it's just one of those ones where you could go and you're like, I want a chocolatey barnyard that morphs into cedar and then back and all this. I want a complex, full flavored cigar that's not just gonna punch me in the mouth. This is the cigar. I would have to say probably box worthy at a minimum 5-pack, but I would say box worthy for me.
All right. No arguments there. I remember that cigar.
Yeah, it's a good one. All right. Well, so we got to talk about the do's and the don'ts, revisit a little bit of episode 1, the 300 hands that touched these cigars. I had to make them so we can enjoy them today. And then we got to talk about walking the walk and talking the talk, a new leader or taking over a new position or anything like that. Yeah, this has been a wonderful revisit of this episode. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was well deserved, well needed.
Yes.
Especially audio quality from that episode to this one is very different. We're more in tune with each other's podcasting here, and yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed the revisit of this episode.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, until next time, I'm Austin,
and I'm Dice.
And remember, great leaders smoke great cigars.
Bet. Thank you for listening to Leadership of the Leaf. The comments and opinions expressed by the host and guests does not reflect the opinions of those that broadcast this show, nor does it reflect any of our affiliates.